Frigg Free College, counting. Which expression represents the number of different 8-letter arrangements that can be made from the letters of the word savannah if each letter is used only once? This topic is called counting, and no, it's not simply just counting numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but in a lot of ways it is just kind of counting. It's counting arrangements. How many ways can you arrange a certain thing, or how many committees can be formed, or how many ways can you arrange things. You'll see a lot of arrangements and committees and groups and stuff like that. So this is really a video that covers 3 concepts: the factorial concept, which this question is going to address, the NPR permutation concept, and the NCR combination concept. But they're all ways to count things, and so we'll see that come up throughout. But the letter arrangement question is really something that you originally learned in Algebra 1 years ago, and it comes back in Algebra 2. It almost seems a little too easy for this course, but it's on the Regents almost every year, so it's one of those questions that you really want to get those points on because it's definitely one of those easier questions on the test. The way to do the letter arrangements is you count how many letters you have, and the problem even tells us there are 8, and so that is the numerator factorial. So the number of letters factorial, so the number of letters in the word factorial, and then it is divided by the number of each letter factorial. Number of each factorial. So how many S's are there? Well, there's 1. But we don't really write 1 factorial down here because 1 factorial means times 1, and we know times 1 doesn't really do anything, so it's not really relevant. So when there's just 1 letter, you don't really bother to write it. But you could put a 1 factorial there. It's just extra numbers that we don't really need. So how many A's are there? There's 1, 2, 3 A's, so that would be 3 factorial. How many V's? There is 1 V, so I'm not going to bother with the 1. And how many N's? There are 2 N's, so that would be 2 factorial. Covered the A's. And how many H's? Only 1 H. And so that's it, and that's why the answer here is B. But most of these problems, they don't want just the setup. They want the actual number this comes out to be, and that's going to be done in your calculator. So let me show you how to do that. First, you're going to type in 8 factorial, and you type in the number 8. And the way to get the factorial symbol is by hitting the math key below alpha. And then we need to get over to the probability folder, and we could do that in one of 2 ways. We could go to the right 3 times, or you could go to the left once, and it kind of jumps to that. So if I just hit the left key, it automatically jumps to probability. And the factorial symbol is number 4. So that's 8 factorial divided by, don't forget the division here. Sometimes students forget the division, and then they get a number much larger than what the actual answer is. And here's the key. This is what messes everybody up. Is my bottom here is complex. It has a 3 factorial and a 2 factorial in it. Because there's multiple numbers down here, it's essential that it's in parentheses. If you don't put the bottom in parentheses, it's going to only think you're dividing by the first factorial, the 3, and then timesing by the 2, not dividing by both. So it's really crucial that when you do this in your calculator, you open the parentheses after you divide, and then type in 3 factorial, which is 3, math button, left, number 4, and then 2 factorial, math. Oh, didn't read that time. Oh. Sorry, my tablet's being uncooperative. Math, left, 4, close parentheses. So you see up here on my screen, I have 8 factorial divided by parentheses 3 factorial, 2 factorial. I actually have an extra parentheses in there that I don't need. It probably wouldn't have hurt, but that's going to give me the answer of 3,360. And so that's how we go about that. That's how you do the letter arrangements in your calculator. Number 2, a bowling team at Lincoln High School must choose a president, a vice president, and a secretary. President, vice president, and secretary. If the team has 10 members, which expression could be used to determine the ways the officers could be chosen? And so this is an NPR versus NCR type of question. Now, the only options here are NPR, but how do we tell the difference between NPR and NCR? And the way to tell the difference is distinction between selection. Notice that we're picking a president, a vice president, and a secretary. We are distinguishing between each of these three positions, right? There's a difference between president and secretary. There is a distinction between selection. That's your NPR. If it's just said we need to pick three people, three captains for the team, that would be NCR if there's no distinction between selections. So it's all about the distinction. So this has a distinction of selection, so it's NPR. There's 10 members, and you're picking 3 of them to have specific roles, 10P3. Again, sometimes the problems want the specific numerical value of that, and it's done similar to the factorial. First, you type in the 10, then you go to the math and probability folder again, which is math left. NPR is choice number 2, and then you type the number after the P, which is the 3, and so NP3 is 720. And so the answer, numerical answer, would be 720. There are 12 people on a basketball team, and the coach needs to choose 5 players to put in the game. How many different ways can the coach choose a team of 5 from his 12 players? So again, is there a distinction in the selection? Are we saying he needs to pick a guard, a center, a forward? Obviously we know that if you know basketball, but no, they were not distinguishing. He just needs to pick 5 people. There's no distinction between the 5 people. That's why it's an NCR question, because there's not a distinction. Whereas in this problem, it was a president, vice president, secretary. There's a distinction between each selection. Here it's just pick 5 people. They're all going into the game. They're all doing the same thing. That would be 12C5. And done in your calculator just the same way is 12. Then the math and probability folder. So math left, and then didn't read my left. And CR is choice number 3. And so it'd be 12, and CR5 is a value of, sorry, my calculator's not reading half of my buttons. Well, that would get you the answer. I don't think this problem really cares about it either. It's just asking for the setup, and so 12C5 is what we're looking for, but my calculator's having some trouble, so I'm not going to give you that exact answer right now. All right, see ya.